This is such a special series for both of you, and you're super good in these roles. Um,
Ooh.
Kristen, where do we pick up this season with Cassandra and Carl's relationship?
Yeah, we meet them a bunch of months after we last saw them. They've been in a relationship. They're happy. They love each, well, I don't know if they love each other. That's the thing. That'll
They
happen
love
later.
each other.
But
They're not saying it.
they're not saying they love each other.
Okay.
But they're doing really well. But what happens is they end up in a strange situation where she's on council and he's struggling with his police department because they have an expanded jurisdiction and they're being pushed to the brink. And they end up in conflict because they have these differing objectives. That is being exacerbated by the mayor, played by Marcia Gay Harden, who's needling them, trying to get their conflict to result in the outcome that she wants.
Cassandra gets more involved in these mysteries this season. Kristen, is there a particular case you're most excited for fans to get to see?
Yeah, I mean, she's not really involved still in any of
Well, you have a case of your
I
own.
was gonna get there, but she's not involved in any of the like murders of the week necessarily. But she does, Carl's daughter brings her something that is related to the death of one of her high school friends. And she starts to, with Carl's daughter, sort of pursue it. And her and Holly end up it kind of becoming detectives in their own right, trying to figure out what's going on. It's a nice through line story for the I mean from episode 3 on, I think.
Rossif, speaking of that, I do love Carl and Holly's relationship. What will we be exploring with them this season?
Well, with Cassandra spending a lot of time in Carl's home, she also ends up getting to know my daughter. Like she said, they um, they have this project that they have together, which is solving this old crime, which you didn't even think was a
Yeah.
crime. It was just an accident, but it turns out to be something else. There's a complicity between the two of them. There's his Carl's daughter is 16 years old, so she's no, little kid anymore. She can think as an adult, and I think she recognizes how happy her father is, but her father is an unchanged man who's got a lot of work to do on himself. And so Holly and Cassandra are also taking it upon themselves to try and help Carl along his way to becoming a better version of himself. Um, so there's a bit of all of that.
With a larger caseload then and more responsibilities, how
Indeed,
does that affect Cassandra and Carl's relationships?
Listen, there's some conflict. They struggle, and she's busy too, so there's that as well. But I think that is one of the main issues of contention is his overloading himself and sort of disappearing into his work.
there's that sense that and he speaks of it, which is that his identity is
Hmm.
in his work, and he is very much as a result a workaholic.
Hmm.
His sense of purpose in life is helping people in the ways that he can, which is solving these crimes and giving families some kind of um,
Resolution.
resolution. And without that, he doesn't know what floor he's standing on.
And Cassandra's pushing him to see himself in a more complex way. She's probably crossing boundaries in regards to his art and himself as an artist and wanting him to embrace other parts of who he is and see them as valuable as his
Which
crime
is
solving.
what a true, loving relationship is. You
Yeah, I
challenge.
was just gonna say they make each other better, and I think that's what fans really love about their relationship is they push each other. There's no sort of line where they're not willing to make each other better or at least talk to each other about what's weighing on them. And as I said, it makes the fans feel like this is a true invested relationship. There isn't always happy times. Yeah, there's murder in a small town, but there isn't always love, a little bit of push and pull with something like that.
Mhm.
Rossif, Noah Reed last season was so menacing as Tommy, and this year we see him return for a bit. Talk about going tete-a-tete with him.
He's a real joy. He too is so quick on his feet, and And I think he's had quite a bit of fun with this part, because, he's a version of the devil, but you can play that with the smirk of that the classic devil, and but he plays it so straight and with such joy, um, and I think he's because that character, his life work is ultimately these crimes, but he would describe it differently anyway. We could talk about it for a long time, but he's he's a he's coming back for this one episode because he's telling us that he will reveal where the bodies have been buried in exchange for not having the death penalty. But all of this is one of his grand ploys again. He has an ulterior motive, and I'll leave it at that. But yes,
It should be a pretty spectacular episode. That man is such a wonderful actor.
yeah.
There are some wonderful new stars this season to the series. Were either of you looking forward to sharing a scene with someone or someone's in particular that were coming on this year?
Listen, Rossif gets to work with everybody, and I don't. I would have loved to have worked with Cameron Manheim, but I got to work with Marcia Gay Harden, so I'm very content with that.
Yes.
Kristen talked about maybe her favorite episode of this season. Rossif, is there one that really you're most proud of the work you put into?
Oh gosh, I couldn't think that way. I have no idea.
Rossif
I
worked very hard.
I just show up and I do the best that I can. Um, I I
You
I
have some lovely moments in that episode with Noah, though. You
yeah,
do, yeah.
sure, I guess. I don't know. But I
He can't be objective about it, so he can't answer the question.
oh, there you go. Thank you.
With this darkness that sort of plays a little bit of a role, at least in Carl's life, Rossif, how do you shake off a long day of being on set?
Um, I don't really. Um, I'm there's no escaping the work because it's days that kind of bleed into another. Um, Scenes are always being molded and shifted and changed, um, and we're all just striving to make it as good as we possibly can. But there's a ticking clock, and
Mhm.
there's only so much money in the bank, and so it's constant. As far as shaking off the character, I don't really have an appetite to shake him off. I quite adore him. He does have his demons because his sense of identity lives within a realm that is not particularly healthy to him. And there will come a time when he's going to have to change the course of his life and maybe think of doing something else because there is trauma,
Mhm.
and within that trauma there is also the silence of having to spare those loved ones the reality of what he sees every day. But that's something it cost him his marriage. But now he's in a relationship with somebody who will not tolerate silence. Um, and if he wants silence, then he'll have to go live on his own.
Oof. I just chill. I mean, oof. And I think that's what makes this show so special, as I touched on before. That realism, that fascination. The cases are just exceptional, and both of you just play this wonderful connection that you have, whether it's on the page, but both of you bring it to life so well with Murder in a Small Town that you have to be proud of the series and the work you've put into it. And it's just exceptional. So I'm grateful that I get a chance to chat with you about this and sort of thank you both for bringing this levity and light to our screens.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.